now in session.
Welcome back to episode 18 of the 9 Degrees Podcast, the number one non-educational education-themed podcast in the world. We may have 9 degrees among us, but we still don't know much about anything. We'll keep you informed on the most interesting current events in the world, but make sure you use a fact checker because we certainly don't. As always, I'm your boy Jerome. We got MADDOX, we got Jackson back for another episode. As always, remember you can catch the audio version of this podcast on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you get podcasts, including the video version on youtube.com/JeromeVaz. Make sure to follow us on socials as well at 9 Degrees Pod on everything. And come join the classroom in Discord, the link down below. Class is now in session with Homeroom, our weekly segment where we talk about gripes and just general pleasantries. Boys, how is it going? How's everyone's week's been?
Pretty good. I got a funny story to share with you guys.
Go ahead. What's going on?
I guess we'll see if it's funny. You guys never, sometimes don't think my things are funny, but, so I'm driving through town around the time where the local high school is letting school out.
Yeah.
And it's a nice day, so I've got my windows down. And there's just traffic because all the students are leaving, at that time. And there's a couple of young male high school students, I guess, waiting for the ride or something. And one of them yells at me and is like, "Hey, rev the engine up." And I was like, okay. So I put in neutral and I rev it up a little bit. Pretty good, probably half power,
Yeah.
And he was like, "Thanks, man." And then he turns to his friend and he was like, "It wasn't as loud as I thought it was going to be." And I was just like, dang, just toasted me.
He did, dude. You're a lame-o now. And you did what a high schooler told you to.
Is that bad? I don't know.
I don't think that's bad. No, but that is funny though. He was putting a lot of pressure on you, I feel like. Or hope.
And I was in traffic with the whole town waiting for the high schoolers to get out.
Is it legal to put your car in neutral while you're driving on the road?
Why not?
I don't know.
I feel like that's fine.
It's kind of extreme. I feel like it's an extreme maneuver.
When you drive a manual, you go into neutral all the time.
Yeah.
Really? Okay, I didn't know that at all. I don't know anything about driving in neutral.
When you push the clutch in, you're effectively in neutral.
Yeah, it's part of driving a manual. You have to go into neutral.
I've got one. A couple weeks ago, the U.S. had their presidential elections. Well, elections in general, right? And I am a first-time voter, not because I hate America, but because I only became a citizen a couple years ago. And so, as a first-time voter, I was super excited, and I was like, I'm going to vote, but also I don't want to wait in line on voting day, so I'm going to go early. So I go to my polling location on the Friday before election day or whatever. Turns out you can't vote early at your polling location. There's specific early voting locations. How am I supposed to know that? These things are not advertised for people like me. I guess my question is am I the dumb one here? Am I just stupid? Really?
So I actually when I was looking into early voting, I Googled early voting my city, and it's here's all the places you can early vote.
Yeah, and hindsight, you're probably right. I should have done that. My problem is my actual polling location is literally right downstairs from my apartment complex, literally less than 100 feet away from me. So I just walked to it, assuming I was going to be able to vote there. Can't do it.
So I had the opposite problem of you.
What do you mean?
Well, so leading up to the election, I just sometimes when I have a lot of computer work to get done and I just want to get out of the house, I'll go sit somewhere. So I like to go to the public library sometimes. And I went to the public library and there was a billion cars there because people were early voting. And I couldn't even get in the parking lot. So I was like, all right, screw it. I'm just going to go to Starbucks. But
turns out Starbucks is also an early voting location.
That would have been good, but no.
That's so funny. Well, that's my gripe. I know it was a couple weeks ago, but it was something I was thinking of, and I was just they need to explain these things better. They need to send out a mass email to every. Actually, don't do that. Don't take that idea. Jackson, what's your gripe?
Okay, so I have a situation to describe for you all. Are either of you habitual like Facebook or Twitter scrollers or any other social media?
Absolutely. Yes.
I would say I'm not. I follow investment people on Twitter, and I usually just get on to like read their specific tweets, and then I do not. I make a habit of not getting on the For You algorithm page because it just derails my sanity.
Okay, so let me tell you what you're missing, Maddox. Okay, so this has happened a couple of times. I think just because it's like a common type of post. But Jerome or anyone listening, have you ever seen those posts that are like it's a math problem, and it's basically just an algebraic math problem where it's like a multiply, subtract, add, or divide. And so what will happen is there will be like this math problem where there will be like a division like in the middle of it. And the trick, it's like a sort of a trick question. And the trick is you have to use PEMDAS correctly to get the right answer. And then it'll be like, put what you think the answer is in the comments. And obviously, of course, people are going to like do it wrong or do it differently, or everyone's going to be doing it differently. And
but they're set up in a way that it's meant for people to get it wrong or like argue about it. It's what's it called? Engagement farming.
Engagement, yes. Rage bait engagement. So
yeah,
that's what that's my gripe is like those kinds of these specifically the PEMDAS math problems as engagement bait sort of posts. I really hate seeing them. And also, just putting this aside, is like we all did higher level math in like college.
Yeah.
We don't use the divided by symbol with the line and the two dots. That's not really how division works at high levels. Division is usually like with fractions and stuff,
Yeah. I mean, I think division still works the same way at all levels, but you're right. We don't use that symbol.
Right, but it's just it's a poor representation of how division actually happens at like higher levels. So it's like you wouldn't have like a 1 plus 2 divided by 3 plus 4, you would be 1 plus 2 over 3 plus 4, or there would be a very obvious,
I see what you're saying. You're saying they're intentionally trying to confuse or mislead people by using a syntax that is not even typically used when you're doing that type of math.
I don't know if they don't know that that's what they're doing, but it's like ignorant on, well, one, it's malicious because they're trying to do engagement bait, but it's also ignorant that they're using the wrong divided by symbol. So
that's also interesting that you bring that up, Jackson, because like if you were to say like 1 plus 2 divide by 3 by PEMDAS, right? You would do but using like the division symbol, right? By PEMDAS, you would do the 2 divide by 3 first, then add 1, right?
Yes.
But if it was 1 plus 2 all over 3, that's a completely different thing. Is that essentially your point? That's your point.
That's what I'm saying is like that divided by symbol is not really used in higher level mathematics. It's just a simple thing used for grade schoolers to learn how to do division.
Yeah. I just now thought about this. That division symbol isn't even on a keyboard.
Nope.
You'd have to get into special care.
Yeah, if you were typing it out, how would you'd have to like look it up and copy paste it.
Right. Also, is the division symbol the line with the 2 dots, is it just a fraction where the 2 dots are like placeholders where the numbers should be? You know what I'm saying?
I kind of think it is what it is now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Oh, am I a genius or what? Okay, but I agree with you.
Toast one to Jerome for that discovery.
Thank you.
Real genius of his time.
You're right. I'm basically on the same level as Isaac Newton right here.
So, Jackson, elaborate. What is it about this that irks you the wrong way?
Well, just, rage bait posts, and also like whenever people misuse mathematics to try to accomplish some ulterior motive, which is getting engagement on their posts.
Yeah.
It's very niche. I have a very niche set of gripes. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed that from the gripes that I bring to the podcast.
I'm kind of with you, though. I also hate it, especially because a lot of times, at least the ones that I've seen, the original like poster, they don't even know the correct answer. Like they just say, or maybe they do, but they just like purposefully say stuff to like throw people off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're right. It is just for farming.
Probably like half of them are, some sort of AI generated posts and just trying to farm engagement like that.
What does that mean?
Something like that.
How are people AI making posts?
Like
I don't know how, but I'm sure that they are.
Just ChatGPT, make a mathematic equation post that is intentionally deceptive to make it difficult to figure out what the correct order of operations is.
Wait, but Jackson, are you essentially saying that comments or like people posting are just bots?
Yes. Also, the commenters are bots, but that's an entirely different story that we don't have time to get into.
They're okay. Okay.
Why are the commenters bots?
Every social media post, it's posted by bots, and all the commenters are bots. That's my theory.
But I thought Twitter's whole thing was they got rid of so many bots and whatnot.
I don't know. I don't work for Twitter, so I can't comment on that.
All right, we'll save it for next time. We'll do some research, and we'll fact check how many bots there are that are making posts and comments. But hey, I'm having a great week so far. How do we feel about moving right on into first period with yours truly, Professor Jerome?
Let's do it.
All right. Speaking of the election, from my gripe, I have. So you know how since the election and the results came out, there have been a lot of people saying, I hate America, I want to leave and not be here for the next 4 years. So I've seen...
I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen anyone say that. But I also haven't been looking. I don't...
Well, yeah, you also said that you don't scroll on social media.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So I feel like...
You're seeing that because you're in your algorithm.
I'm in the manosphere.
Yeah. Jackson, have you been seeing that stuff?
Actually, not this time as much as in previous years.
In 2016?
Yeah, that was like probably the peak.
Okay.
See, my point, Jerome, is the algorithms are toxic.
I know.
Just
you're right.
To
it's engagement
make
farming.
your life worse.
Yeah, I don't disagree there. But what I was going to say was there have been a lot of unique companies or people that are trying to do things for these Americans that are trying to capitalize, The first thing I saw, there's a cruise line that's offering a 4-year cruise with food and drinks included, starting at $275,000. I did a little bit of quick math. If you assume average rent $2,000 a month, car payment $500 a month, grocery bill $350 a month, just restaurant spend in general another $200, comes out to around $150,000 over 4 years. So is it a good deal? I don't necessarily know, but putting this out there for anyone that wants to leave America for 4 years, $275,000, and you can go on a cruise.
That's actually, I just love this for some reason. I don't know why.
I think I'd get sick. I don't know that I could stay on a boat but if you're going on like vacation, you're porting and like getting off.
That would be cool. If you're just traveling the world for 4 years.
Yeah.
Like my study abroad program, I actually would maybe consider that, especially if you could just finance it, like buying a house.
Ooh, interesting.
Instead of buying a house, I'm just gonna put a down payment on this 4-year cruise, and then I'll figure the rest out later.
Yeah.
So I've heard this very secondhand, but I've heard that there are like retired seniors who what they will do is they'll sell their house and they'll just like take cruises throughout the whole year. So this could be a very economical way for them to. This specific one could be an economical way for them to have a cruise and have things to do and have a place to live for 4 years.
Yeah, potentially. But I have another one that I personally think is even better. And MADDOX, I don't know how, but I think we have to get into this. Okay. There is a rural village in Italy called Ololai. I hope I'm saying that right. And it is currently a dying village. Okay. It's trying to revive itself after decades of depopulation. The population has decreased from about 2,300 people to 1,100 people in just the last few years, and not very many babies being born. So what they're doing is they are selling these dilapidated houses for $1 to convince people to move to the village and essentially renovate these homes. And they've now put out a website specifically meant for Americans, and they've said they're going to fast track the process, help you with all the paperwork and all that for Americans to come and help revive this village. Now, there's 3 specific options. They have free temporary homes for what they're calling digital nomads, so think like work from home type people. They've got these $1 homes that are in need of renovation, and you go and renovate the thing yourself, I guess, and then you live there. And then option number 3 is they've got these ready to occupy, like dwellable units already that they're selling for 100,000 euros or $105,000 or so. Come on. Tell me we have to do this.
The first thought I had is hopefully they're preventing landlords from buying these up. Just buying up these $1 houses and then renting them out for...
That could be us. We could be the landlords.
There's part of me that... it's a pretty like big part of me that like desperately wants to do something like this.
Yeah.
Just say... I actually think I could too. Like, I think you could... At this day and age, you could pretty easily, leave your life here and figure out how to make money online, or... at least sustain yourself for a little bit in a different country till you figured out something else to do. But
I totally agree.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to give up everything, like literally everything you've built in a place to just go start new, especially when like, I feel like it's easier to do that when your current situation is like bad. I guess for some people, they do feel like Donald Trump getting elected is the worst thing that could have happened to their life, but I still don't feel like, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. Like, but very interesting propositions for sure. Tempting.
My first thought is that this sounds like the plot of The Godfather. No, have either of you seen that?
The internet's gonna kill me, but no, I've actually never seen The Godfather.
I see.
So
yeah, no, there's like this is a spoiler. One of the characters basically flees to Italy, and like rural Italy, and lives there for an extended period of time. So this would have been a great offer for Michael Corleone if it was available.
Well, it is cool. And like, so I mentioned they have these free temporary homes that are available for digital nomads. Basically, all they're asking is that while you're in the village, you like do or create something of value for the village. So
like a
the
baby?
Examples that, well, yeah, that would be useful for these people. Unfortunately, that baby would be an American by U.S. law, right? But anyway, the examples that they used were like create like artwork or write a book or something. But I feel like if the village is like kind of in ruins, like how it's describing, we should just take a bunch of contractors over there and like rebuild the village, right?
Question: Why is it dying? Like, why don't people want to be there anymore? Is there like a legitimate reason?
Yeah. So sounds like this originally started in 2018-ish was when they did this. And it sounds like it's just such a small village that people have naturally just like immigrated out, looking for work and like better paying work and stuff like that elsewhere.
Yeah. Rural to urban migration has been happening worldwide for like the past several decades,
Yeah.
A lot of rural communities around the world are really suffering because of it.
And to be completely honest with you, like I joke about we should go there and like buy up like 6 houses. Honestly, I don't mean it as a joke. I do think we should do that. The question is, this is a very small village, like on the little island that's like off the coast of Italy. It's still part of Italy, but you know what I'm talking about? You got the little boot and then there's a little island off of it.
So this is on Sicily? Is this where this island is? Do you know?
I don't know my Italian geography, but yeah, sure. Why not? Yes, it's on Sicily.
This is actually exactly what happened in The Godfather. He went to Sicily.
But here's my question that the article did not answer is like, if it's that small of a village, like its maximum population was 2,300, like what's their plumbing infrastructure look like? What's their electricity infrastructure look like? If you have to renovate this $1 home, what is access to like materials? Are you going to be able to hire a construction crew, or like, do we need to go pick up some hammers and nails and like reconstruct this thing ourselves? You know what I mean?
This is the stuff you get to figure. This is the stuff you get to do when you get there. It's like it's like Minecraft.
Exactly.
When I think about someone moving to a rural Italian village, I think of them, shirtless, out in the hot sun, rebuilding their house. They've got their little garden where they have they get their tomatoes from,
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
Jerome's
literally
bringing the
living
whole
off the land.
construction barge in.
Why?
The
I can't
barge
even
is
bring in
bigger than
construction.
the island.
I think you're going to be losing money on this venture if you're bringing a
No,
construction
come
crew.
on.
And
No. That's what we need to do. We need to buy 10 houses. Apparently they have currently like 100 units available for at this $1 price. And they've had these since 2018. And for whatever reason, they're not able to, like, they've only sold 10 or so in like the last couple years.
My thought is like they're probably actually really making sure like you're doing the documentation and like it's probably not just like click here to buy and
they definitely they want to make sure you're coming and like helping the village grow somehow.
Here's another thing, Jerome, and this is why those houses don't really have any value, is because in order to sell them at a later date for a profit, you need someone to want to live there. But people are moving out of the village and they're not moving in.
I'm just saying, you guys don't think we should just, us and all of our friends should just buy 6 houses, put down $50K to renovate all of them ourselves, and then now we just got summer homes in Italy all the time for $50,001.
So
just saying.
I actually would move like overseas, like regardless of anything related to politics. I just would think it would be a great opportunity and like life experience to live overseas. I don't know if rural Sicily is what I had in mind, but
where would you go?
I don't know, like I like South Korea a lot. I don't know, somewhere in the Netherlands maybe.
You should do the like the Peace Corps or something.
Well, I mean, I also want to make money too while I'm doing it. So
okay,
and,
maybe not that.
My goal, I feel like, is to just get to the point where I can travel for maybe like 3 months out of the year.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't know that I want to completely move to another country, but I would like to get to the point where I spend like a good portion of the year outside of the country.
Yeah.
And maybe like up that to like 6 months as like, I don't know.
Eventually. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that'd be awesome. Well, I got another story for you guys. You guys ever go to a small like mom or pop gas station and it says like $10 minimum spend to use credit card?
Yes, I hate that.
I don't know that I've seen $10. I usually see like maybe 3 or 5 or something.
Sure. Well, on that note, Visa and Mastercard just had a Senate judiciary hearing for essentially having a duopoly in the U.S. in terms of credit card networks. A bipartisan hearing. Both the conservative and the most liberal members of Congress agree that high swipe fees need to be addressed. Before I get into it, though, we all know there's only 4 networks, right? You got Visa, Mastercard, American Express, and Discover. I think we talked about on the pod a couple months ago that Discover Card is getting acquired by Capital One. That deal hasn't closed yet. I think it's supposed to close like end of the year or maybe first of next year. And, Capital One's already said that they're going to pump a lot of money into that and hopefully gain market share and all that stuff. But I don't know. I want to get your guys' opinions first. Do we think these two have a duopoly? More importantly, do we think the duopoly is problematic?
I'll say this. I haven't really thought about it in terms of like, are they a duopoly or an oligopoly or whatever? I'm just thinking about, we've had 3% transaction fees on payments for as long as I've been using digital money.
Yep.
And it has not gone down. And we live in a world where we have crypto now that is competing with that. And the fact that that hasn't come down yet probably indicates that they are able to, they're essentially have such a significant share of the market that they can essentially continue to charge these high prices and not reduce them, is what I would think.
I will say, as a consumer, I don't really think about it much from the corporate perspective, but I will say as a consumer, I think as someone who uses credit cards a lot, I think the burden on businesses and then in some cases that burden being passed on to the customers either with overall higher prices or with like service charges for if you use a credit card is something I'm not very happy about, and I wish it would go away, and I don't know how it's going to go away.
I love that you said that, Jackson, because that's exactly the next point that I wanted to make. The National Retail Federation told the Senate committee that high credit card swipe fees add to inflationary pressures in the U.S. economy because, exactly to your point, it increases overall prices. Now, I think they were suggesting that if you lowered these credit card fees, then prices would come down. I think that's a little bit of a slippery slope because my thought is you have lower swipe fees, but then the retailer is going to be like, oh, well, I've been selling this bag of potato chips at $5. I'm going to continue selling it at $5 because people are still buying them. I'm just going to take the profit myself rather than give it to the credit card company. That's my personal opinion. I don't know. Is that how inflation works, MADDOX?
I mean, yeah, we saw price gouging like that in the last wave of big inflation.
Yeah.
I could see it.
I mean, in theory, that's not what economics would suggest,
Yeah.
Because if they could reduce that price, they should be able to sell more units. So they should. But I don't know. Who knows?
We don't live in
a real world.
Theory and practice are only the same in theory, but they're different in practice.
Right, exactly. Well, so if you guys had to guess, Visa and Mastercard combined, they have a market cap of over $1 trillion. What percent of the market do you think they control? Their market share combined?
66.
Good guess.
I'm going to guess 71.
Another good guess. It is an astounding 80%. I did not realize this. Apparently, Discover Card only holds 4% of the market, and Amex has the remaining, 16 or something along those lines? Insane. In 2023, Visa and Mastercard charged merchants more than $100 billion in credit card fees. And so the whole thought is there's this bipartisan Credit Card Competition Act, is what it's called, that's going to require banks with more than $100 billion in assets to offer at least one other payment network besides Visa and Mastercard. Now, I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that actually going to work? Because there's still only 4 total,
I don't know. It doesn't seem like going from 2 to 4 is that really helping the consumer that much. I'm more just that they should be just encouraging innovation in this space. Honestly, in my view, the solution here from the government's perspective is create more legislation around crypto, because crypto is the competitor here. That's the innovation that's going to reduce transaction fees via stablecoins. So just make that, that's the direction we're going. Just make that happen sooner and, start making that the safe way that consumers transact and make it more convenient.
So I want to talk about credit cards and purchasing on credit as a concept as a whole and how it exists in today's world. Do you have a point, MADDOX?
I was hoping we could make a clarifying point here. When we're talking about the Visa and MasterCard, we're not really just talking about credit cards, right? We're talking because don't businesses aren't businesses mostly eating these fees as buying the merchant thing, you go to a gas station or you go to a Walmart, the terminal, is that not where most of this is happening?
So I think the actual units are being produced by some other company and they take a percentage of the profits, or maybe all those profits go to whoever is making that device. This specific Senate hearing was about the actual swipe fee, the 3% per transaction, whatever it is. It may not be 3. I think it's 2.25 or something right now is the average. But that swipe fee is what they're saying is way too high.
Okay, so but most of the time the consumer isn't. But okay, that my point is that's not just on credit cards, right?
Right, it's the network for Visa debit cards as well, and whatever.
If I pay with a debit card, the merchant is still eating different. A 3% fee.
Oh, is that true?
I think the fee's different because supposedly there was legislation that went out several years ago that pertained to debit cards, and Visa and MasterCard, the exec said that's why debit cards are crap now, there are no rewards for debit cards. Interest in checkings account is really low because there's legislation around like forcing competition, essentially. Like you have to carry X number of whatever. That's what they're arguing. I don't actually know. The only thing that I do know is we're talking about the credit card network fees.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
This is my ideal world. I mean, it's 2024. I feel like the world should be great, right? In theory.
Jackson, it will be great again.
So I have money in the bank, and I don't like cash because cash is inefficient in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that what I should be able to do is I should be able to electronically spend money and like not have it carry any fee with either the vendor or with me. You know what I'm saying? And there should be no effect on prices of my commodities or my goods.
So who's paying that? Like, because the problem with what you're describing is like there was infrastructure that had to be built, right? And then credit cards have all this like fraud protection and customer service, and there is real cost associated with all of that stuff.
Are you saying it should become a public good?
Ooh,
that
interesting.
Is what I'm saying. I work in banking, and I honestly don't even know half of this stuff, which is kind of bad.
Well, so the idea though with blockchain is the blockchain becomes the network,
but there's still a fee, right?
Yes, there is, but when it's a lot cheaper because it's not a company setting a price. It is a market of miners, right. A democratic, decentralized market that is competing to the lowest price.
Is like every computer ever. It's already there.
It could be in theory, yes. Yeah. Like the network is infinitely scalable as you add more you can add more computation units to it. But the point is that's the future of essentially all technology. And I almost like it in terms of just like having like a standardized system that everybody uses. You don't have this credit card company uses this database and this system, and this one uses this one, and this bank uses this type of API, and it's like just a big mess. It's like we should have like you're going to have competing blockchains too. But anyway, the point is like, let's get to a point where it's like, there's a more efficient way to do this. Like, let's all get on the same, like, I don't know.
It's hilarious that you say that, Maddox, because in the Senate hearing, both the CEO of Visa and Mastercard, both of them said this like shared use of technology or sharing the networks or whatever would stifle competition, and they would be ruined, and they would never be able to produce as much for their shareholders as they currently are. The hilarious part is they don't want competition, but they own 80% of the market. That's insane. And also, take a guess at what their profit margin is.
I have no idea.
I couldn't come up with a number.
50% plus.
That's ridiculous.
You're telling me you can't lower these fees and you're making 50% plus margin? That's insane. Like, my dad works in manufacturing. A good day is making like 3% margin or 4% margin. You know what I mean? Restaurants, 3 or 4, maybe 5-6% margin, unless you're going somewhere super fancy. These guys are making 50% plus, and they're complaining that competition's going to kill them?
Yeah, there's just basically like they've built this infrastructure and it just exists now, and it, has a little bit of maintenance costs probably, but
yeah. It's insane. It's insane. And hilariously, the Senate committee, they asked them, do you know what the average like interest rate on a credit card is? Of course, they both responded, well, we don't set that. The banks set that. And like, we don't make money off the interest on the credit card and blah, 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 which is true. But as the CEO of Visa and Mastercard, you should probably still like have your nose to that type of stuff, right? Apparently, it's doubled in the last 4 years. Credit card debt is $1.2 trillion, and the current average interest rate on those credit cards is 29%.
I actually didn't know that they didn't make money off the interest rates.
Well, Visa and MasterCard don't, because like if you think about it, like what's like an airline credit card? That's a good example, right? Like American Airlines owns that credit card, or like, your Capital One like owns the credit card, but it runs on Visa's network or on Mastercard's network. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's like Capital One that's like loaning you the money and whatever, and they're the ones that make the interest, hypothetically.
Okay. I don't think I knew that that's how that worked. Man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Delta for sponsoring all my purchases.
Yeah, that's
Delta
right.
Airlines.
So I'm actually very interested in this story. So I want to keep like a close eye on what happens, because I think, I think the Senate Judiciary Committee, or the ones that they set up, have oftentimes said like a lot of dumb stuff. The one that they did recently with like Facebook, Apple, Google, Amazon in the building, right? They just sounded silly. Like they had no idea what they were talking about. They were like, one guy was literally like, how does TikTok connect to my Wi-Fi? And he's like, well, you turn Wi-Fi on your phone. But this one, it seemed like they were like very in tune to what was going on, and it's nice to see bipartisan things happen. I've got another one for you guys. So it is earnings week, and yesterday, retail giant Walmart put out earnings that they absolutely smashed it. They're killing the game right now, and beat expectations out of the water. However, today, Target shares plunged 20% after the company lowered its full year's earning forecast almost $1 from $9.5 per share to $8.5 per share, which I don't really know how to read into, EPS ratings and stuff like that, MADDOX, but that's pretty big miss, right?
Yeah, I'd guess so. Honestly, I'm not big into like fundamental analysis on stocks, so I don't know for sure. I think more interesting is just like the discrepancy between Walmart and Target.
Yeah, I completely agree. My thought is that whole like the feeling of the inflation issue again that we're always talking about. Like,
sorry, go ahead.
No. I was gonna say, I feel like Target is known as this like high income, like semi-luxury type of brand, and Walmart is like for the regular, like everyday person or whatever. But when you feel the inflationary pressure, you're gonna go to the lower, like, or the cheaper product, And I think Target's falling to that right now.
Is that really what Target's brand is? I've always viewed Target as being like everyone's second option for like, if like Walmart or whatever doesn't have a good deal, you just go to Target and hope they have a better deal.
Really? I've always thought of them as like kind of luxury.
I also don't really shop for myself very often. I'll be honest.
Oh my God. Okay.
I think Target is a higher, it's thought of as a higher end, less options and less just breadth of types of products. Like Target doesn't, like Walmart has every single grocery item that you would need. Target typically doesn't, although some more than others.
But I think the thought or the feeling that people have about Target is that it's higher quality.
I think people deliberately go to Target because they don't want to go to Walmart. Like they don't want the Walmart atmosphere. I've heard people in my sphere of people I know mention this. Like the ambiance is different.
Is that like pseudo elitism among shoppers?
Yes, that's kind of it's essentially what it is. Yeah. I think though, when you see discrepancies like that in stock prices that are similar stocks, it's like an interesting, like typically, people think that these earnings and stuff like they matter a lot, and they do to some extent, but usually like you'll see stocks within an industry moving with each other, in correlation with each other. So when you see a discrepancy like that, I think it's like a signal about something. And I if you back out what it is, it really does seem like there must be a transition of people that shop choosing Walmart over Target. Like what else could it be? Unless there was like I guess there could have been like some type of major corporate decision that was made. Like, did Target do something really unprofitable for some reason? Did they have some big marketing campaign that busted, or I don't know?
So there's only one specific thing that I can think of, and it's something that we talked about on this pod, actually. Target took a proactive, is that the word?
It's a word.
They took a proactive method to combat inflation, and they reduced a lot of the prices of their own like Target brand items. They announced that a couple months ago that they were going to slowly start reducing prices of like Target brand items to quote unquote help consumers because they knew that like people were struggling. I would have thought that more people would have shopped at Target because of that. But maybe
the
it backfired.
other side of that other side of that coin is lower profit margins, and
exactly
lower profit margins means bad profit returns.
Exactly. And you never know, like maybe they were thinking that was going to bring so many consumers in the door that they were going to be profitable. But maybe the problem with that is even though Target reduced, say, its prices by 10% or something, maybe Walmart was still lower. You know what I mean? So maybe the people that were shopping at Target, they're making less profit off them, but it didn't bring any new people in the door because all those people are still shopping at Walmart. So yes, exactly to your point, that means less profit.
Also, let's be fair. I feel like these things take time to play out. And so if they just made that type of decision and we're just seeing the first, result of it, it would make sense that they maybe lost money. Or also, this is all relative to expectations. So
yeah.
Target investors just had high expectations and Walmart investors had low expectations. So
I completely agree.
Also, I don't know if this is true, but I know some companies came out like as in support of Trump. Was Walmart one of those companies?
I believe the Walton family did donate to Trump. I don't know that to be fact, but we don't fact check on this podcast, so
I would bet on it.
So maybe that had some impact. People started going to Walmart for political reasons and
I
stopped going to Target.
I don't think that's a thing that happens.
Maybe.
You hear about that a lot,
Maybe.
like on social media. But Jerome, I have a question though. What happened to like Target and Walmart stock prices? Do you know?
I think similar to what they're saying, Target dropped 20% today. I'm fairly certain Walmart went up pretty substantially.
That's not nothing. It's pretty substantial.
20% in a single day is insane. This podcast is sponsored by And Collar. And Collar is an affordable men's clothing company where products are sustainably made with the equivalent of 15 recycled plastic water bottles. Their shirts have 4-way stretch, are machine washable, liquid repellent, and wrinkle and stain resistant. You can go to andcollar.com right now and get 15% off using code 9. Just so everyone knows, the code has changed. It is code 9 for 15% off. Thanks to And Collar. But with that, let's move right on into second period with Professor MADDOX. What's going on this week?
I got something for you guys.
Okay. I'm excited. That was very... Why are words not coming to me today? That was very cryptic of you.
Just one of those days, man.
I know.
Got the brain fog.
Right, I agree.
Do either of you guys go to the chiropractor ever?
Oh my God, yeah. I go like twice a week.
I feel like he's making that up.
Is that true?
Absolutely not. I've never been to a chiropractor in my life. I would. I want to.
Okay,
but
well, let's start here.
This is a rich person
Jackson,
game.
why would you never go to a chiropractor?
It's not scientifically backed, and you know me.
What? They're doctors.
I actually feel like that's a very not true statement.
Maybe that might be true. Actually, we're not known for our fact checking here, but there is a stereotype around chiropractors that it's pseudoscience. I've used that word to a chiropractor that I know, socially, and he got kind of defensive about it. And I was like, okay, whatever.
Let's put it this way. MADDOX, if you had back pains and you need to be prescribed medication for it, are you going to go to your doctor or are you going to go to your chiropractor?
Here's the way I think about things. I'm always going to, for any solution, I'm always going to try the simplest solution first.
Okay.
Right? Like, why are you, I actually think this happens to a lot of people. They have a pain and they probably get treated with medication first, and that doesn't help because that's not fixing a pain, that's just treating a symptom. And then they end up getting a surgery that they probably didn't need. They probably just needed to like
go to a
rehabilitate, not necessarily a chiropractor, but some type of like movement like specialist, like
potentially
rehabilitation. And I think like chiropractic is like part of that. But I don't even know, like, how do you, I don't know how, I know that there is that stigma, but like, I don't even understand why there's that stigma. Like,
I think it's like the MD versus DO conversation. Like people
it's not. It's
the same.
It's not. That's like a terrible comparison. A lot of DOs out there are very offended by that.
But point being, go ahead.
There is a stigma because the methods and practices they use aren't things that you like learn in school or in like a degree program or that like come from scientific research. They're usually things that are like tricks of the trade kind of things, or like ideas that someone had, or like maybe they come from some like different culture kind of thing. But the main
we shouldn't use them because they come from a different culture.
No,
is that what you're saying, Jackson?
That's not why we shouldn't use them. That's just but that also on the reverse side is not evidence that it works, because it works. People say somewhere else it works.
We should take a 9 Degrees field trip and all go to the chiropractor and just see how we feel.
Well, so we have
do that.
That's really fun.
We have a family friend, or a friend of ours' brother is a chiropractor who I typically go to, but my story is about going to a different chiropractor and having a terrible experience.
Tell us what happened.
But no, I want to get into this more because I feel I'm not like, I mean, I am pro chiropractic because I use it as a tool in my health regime, and it definitely works. Like, works in terms of like, if I have a ache, or if like your body literally gets out of alignment, and then you go to the chiropractor and they align it, and then you feel great. Like, that's like, how do we? I almost feel like now that like you've put it that way, like, oh, it's not taught in modern medicine. I almost feel like it's.
And also you have to avoid using case by case or self, or what am I trying to say?
Personal
anecdotes as evidence for the entire practice works.
But I'm saying, how do you, if you're not using that, like, how do you?
It's academic research. That's how.
You're essentially just
I'm
asking,
a big fan
why
of that.
Is there a stigma?
No. Okay. I'm just saying, like, if I have a crick in my neck and I go to the chiropractor and they adjust me and the crick in my neck is gone, you can't just say that it's fake,
no,
it's not real.
Well, but that's not evidence. That's an anecdote.
But is that not the scientific research?
No, that's literally not what scientific research is.
Why?
Scientific research
Why
involves
is that not the scientific research?
Scientific research involves controlled experiments, and
the control would be MADDOX doesn't get himself adjusted and his neck is still hurt.
No.
You're
trolling us.
Now, I think you're trolling, Jackson. How do we apply the scientific process to that?
More than one person would help.
Controlled. Okay, so these thousands of people,
circumstances,
is that like thousands of people?
Well, but you talk to thousands of people.
No, like
there's a confirmation bias where
no. Like millions of people go to the chiropractor, hundreds of millions maybe, like in the world.
That's a stretch.
Yeah.
I don't think it is
fair. In the world, probably.
But there's a confirmation bias where if it works for someone, they're going to say it works. But again, it's not controlled. Well, one, you don't hear
but
from
the opposite is true too.
And also, it's not controlled where you don't know that what's happening there is what's causing it, and it's not something else. Like Max is saying, like a lifestyle change.
Yeah. So
okay, but I'm sure there have been experiments that have been conducted. That's like The only thing you change is you go to the chiropractor.
There probably are, and I don't know. I'm not really familiar with them personally, but I would guess based on the existence of the stigma that there has not been anything to show that chiropractic is conclusively beneficial.
Are chiropractors not MDs? Like,
no, they're not. If you were an MD, you would not be a chiropractor. You'd be a doctor.
Yeah, but here's my thing though. The way you're talking about it now, I'm almost like, it almost feels like a big doctor thing because look, here's my point. If Jackson, listen to me, I'm being serious.
No,
you're making funny faces at me.
No, but I think it's funny. I actually think this scenario is funny, but I can see where you're going with this actually.
Okay, so like I said, sometimes I sleep the wrong way, or when I'm lifting weights, I'll get a crick in my neck or upper back, something, and 100% of the time when that happens, I go to the chiropractor. I get a just standard adjustment. They have a standard process that they do. I don't need anything more than that, and it fixes the problem. Now, that's to say, if you have some serious condition like, I don't know, like something actually wrong.
You have a hunchback.
And you go to the chiropractor, that's probably not going to solve that.
Right.
I'm not sitting here saying that chiropractor is the solution for every type of ailment. I'm saying that there's just general, like in your general course of life, like your body can get out of alignment, and chiropractor can be a solution to that. And that is real. That is a real thing that people experience.
Allegedly.
And
sometimes.
I mean,
right.
Yeah, you can say allegedly,
yes,
but that's all we have to go by.
Yeah.
And
sometimes I go to the doctor and I say, I feel sick. They prescribe me medicine and nothing happens.
Here's my
point. It does
not
change me.
Here's my point why I said big doctor, because obviously if there's like a simple solution like that to like relieve pain, there's an incentive to try to
suppress that.
Yes.
If you're a doctor.
There you go.
Yeah, no, yeah. I actually can see that, and I think that would be very funny if that's actually what happens.
But
hey,
I mean, it's working because you're talking about this as like if it's a pseudoscience and it's not a real thing.
I'm supposedly for the doctor industry.
It's the same thing with like
cancer research.
What's another pseudoscience?
Acupuncture.
Sure. There is probably people have success with acupuncture for the things that acupuncture can fix. Is acupuncture going to fix your brainstem injury or whatever?
Yeah,
probably not. No. But it's like, my point is like there should be like a hierarchy of things that you try. Like just try the cheap, simple thing first, and then if that doesn't work, then get into like
Is the chiropractor cheap? Because I would have assumed it was expensive.
Compared to a surgery?
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean,
or like
we talked before about medical bills and stuff.
Yeah.
Fair.
So like it's a cheap potential solution. It is not a cure-all, but it is a legitimate, in my anecdotal experience, it is a legitimate solution to aches and pains that you can have through the course of your life.
I think the only way we can solve this, is 9 Degrees has to take a field trip and all go to the chiropractor together and see how we feel afterward. That's the only way we're going to be able to convince Jackson of this. I guarantee
you would feel some type of I mean, you really do. When you get adjusted, you've experienced some type of euphoria. It's like a dopamine release. I mean, it's pretty short lived, but anyway, my anecdotal experience when I have from lifting weights or sleeping the wrong way or just general compression of my body, and I get limited movement in my neck or my shoulder or something, I've gone to the chiropractor and not needed any like special crazy adjustment, just like a standard adjustment usually is sufficient for that. I didn't intend to get into this. I honestly I didn't know that it still had this much of a stigma to it.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know I was a quack for going out here and getting adjusted.
Because you're a victim. You're a victim, Maddox.
I'm a victim. Anyway, so like I said, we have a friend of ours, a guy we went to high school with. He's our age. His brother is a chiropractor in this area, and he's not just a chiropractor. He's got a what is it called?
PT.
I'm not helping the case here.
No, you're not. Because now in my head, I'm like, he's not just a chiropractor. He also is a fortune teller.
No. Functional neurology is what he calls it. Is what the practice is called. So
you're gonna kill Jackson right now. Jackson's gonna throw up.
It's just a lot of people do this. It's not just chiropractic. It's like movement, exercising, balance. Like it's just part of a health regime. I think you guys are on the wrong side of this. I'm not gonna lie. Like I think you guys.
I agree with you. What's happening?
Okay.
I was just looking up functional neurology because I don't know what it is.
I think your health and quality of life would benefit.
Listen, I am with you.
Expanded your mind a little bit.
I want to go to the chiropractor. I think it would be great for me.
So, but I've lived in different places over the years, and so I had to. When I wasn't living here, I had to find a new solution, and so there's a chain of chiropractic offices. I saw someone refer to it on Reddit as the McDonald's of chiropractor.
Oh no! and you chose to go there?
Okay, so that was a lot of people go there. Like it's not like
sure, I believe that, but if it was described as the McDonald's of chiropractic,
well, I didn't read that till after I'd been there 4 times. Or
okay.
But also, it's not real. It's not like McDonald's. It's a chain. It's a franchise.
Sure.
And it's all across the country. I think they have like 700 something locations in like every major city.
Right. Their ice cream machine's always broken.
Yeah, I would call it just like the like a fast food like version of chiropractors.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's just a chain model.
Yeah.
Which is a great thing, honestly, because if you think about it, if you travel a lot, lots of times when I travel is when I get aches and pains and stiffness and whatnot.
Sure.
And you can go into any office, walk right in. You don't have to like make an appointment. They have little like scan cards.
Do they have insurance?
No, but it's very cheap. So they do a $29 first time patient
what
treatment.
Okay.
So you can go in for your first time for $29, and then after that it's $45 a session.
That's so much cheaper than I would have thought. But okay.
But for like, it's great for how I'm talking about chiropractic. Like if you just want to go in quickly and casually, and you have like an ache and pain, and you just want to get the quick adjustment. If you need something, maybe like if you have like a real serious like injury that needs a lot of attention and rehabilitation, I don't know if this is the right service for you.
Sure.
Because it's really meant to be like you can walk in and maybe there's a couple people in front of you, but you're not waiting long and you're getting a quick adjustment and you're out of there. And if you do have like a specific specific problem, like they'll give it a little bit more attention or something like that. And they give you like a list of exercises to take home that you can do if you need to. So anyway, I chose to go to this place when I was living in Chattanooga. I gave it a try, the $29, because I had a real bad neck injury. It wasn't a real bad neck injury. Are you sure
you're not describing a masseuse?
No.
Okay. Just making sure. Are you getting upset that we're making fun of you?
No.
Okay.
I mean, at this point, I just feel like the story's not even that good, but
no, I want to know.
So, like I said, it's $45 for a single visit. It's pretty cheap, but really, you can get in and out of there in less than 5 minutes. So it's a very quick service. Yeah. But their model revolves around not just trying to let you come in for the $45 single session. They're trying to get you to either purchase a membership subscription where you're paying each month and you get to come every however many times in a month, which I don't want because I don't think it warrant. I'm not so pro chiro that you should come in every day and do it, or every week, or even just like, I think like as needed when you have like a problem, like you can go and try to get it solved through chiropractic.
Yeah.
But they want you to sign up for these memberships, or they want you to buy these bundles where you buy sessions up front for a discounted rate, but you're paying, a big lump sum. And from the first time I went there, they were pushing this like hard on me, like almost uncomfortably hard, like trying to get me to sign up for one of these things.
So much so that you had to do another chiropractor session after.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So hard.
Mm.
Yeah. And, I was just like, no, I'm good. Like I just typically do this when I have something that's really bothering me, and this was like years ago, by the way. I've only probably been 4 times in like the past couple years. But yeah, the guy was really trying to get me to sign up for the membership or buy a bundle because it's cheaper, and he was trying to convince me that my spine was needed to be retrained.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm proving Jackson's point a little bit here. But so yeah, it was like whatever, but they adjusted me and I recovered from the pain I was having. And the limited movement in my neck. So great. And then another time in Chattanooga, I went back again, and it was a different practitioner that time, but they, still were encouraging me to buy a bundle, or it wasn't as pushy this time, but it was still there. And then I went again for a third time when I was in Birmingham visiting my wife's family. And so completely different location in a different state even. And kind of the same experience. You come in and you're just paying for the single visit, and they try to get you to sign up for the buy bundle or whatever. Although they were the least pushy at this location. If I had to go back to a location, I'd go back to the Birmingham one. They were actually pretty mild and friendly. But anyway, so our hometown of Maryville, Tennessee has one of these now. It's technically in Alcoa, I think. Actually, I don't know. It's like an Alcoa and a Maryville address. But it's by the First Watch, Jerome, where we
Okay. Yeah.
It's literally right next door to it.
Yeah.
So, it's about that time of year where I'm getting some upper back pain, and I decided I'd go give it a try. And so I go in, and I'm the only one in there, and the secretary signs me in and sends me back to the doctor. They call them doctors. I don't know if they're doctors or not. Anyway, so the guy has me lay down on the table, and literally before he even like starts doing anything, I'm face down on the table. He hits me with, "So, have you ever thought about trying to save a little bit of money on these sessions?"
Oh,
I'm
my
like,
God.
One, like, what even kind of question is that? Have you thought about trying to save a little money on these sessions? Like
Just
that's such a weird, like, okay, assuming you hadn't already had these experiences at these other locations, like,
right.
Imagine you're coming in for the first time, getting hit with that question. That's like a weird question, is it not?
Yeah.
It sounds like he wants for you to pay for it with your body.
Yeah, right?
Whoa. Right. That is what he was doing. If you had said yes and you'd bought in like 100 bundles right there, he would have done a better job.
But anyway, so I was like, nah, like I like to come in as needed, pay for the single session. Like that's how I operate. And he persists into trying to explain to me why I would save money by like buying the bundle. Like the sessions don't ever expire, and like they're $15 cheaper per session. And he's like he's just trying to save me money. And he was like getting really pushy, and I was like, "Look, man, like you're just gonna lose money. I'm just gonna go somewhere else if you guys keep trying to push me into these things." And he was literally like, "Fine, leave, get out." And I was like,
"No way."
I was like, "Seriously?" I was just like, "Wow." I was like, I mean, do they train you guys to act like this? Like, you guys do this at every location. Just try to push people into the memberships and the bundles. I'm like, I was like, I mean, you literally, like, I just walked out. And the secretary was like, did you get treated? And I was like, no, I didn't. And he just lost my business. I'm never coming back here again.
What the what?
Yeah,
dude,
he like literally like threw like a hissy fit almost. Like
this is what's wrong with the franchise model, because I assume this is a franchise. And
it is a franchise.
And franchise models, typically the individual locations make like a little extra dough on selling subscriptions. That's why Planet Fitness is like freaking terrible about this same shilling the subscription thing. And you know, gym memberships oftentimes are like that, and whatever. But that's crazy that he just didn't treat you and told you to leave.
Well, he actually did treat me, because this happened like in the period of like a couple back cracks. So like I actually got some relief. It wasn't a full thing.
Wait, but did
like,
you pay?
No, he didn't give me
good.
the full thing. And also, like, I'm not gonna pay for that. Like, he treated me like not how you treat a person that comes in for a service.
That's so crazy.
But so okay, moving on from that, I told you, so that's what happened to me. And so I went home, and later in the evening, I wrote a Google review, a 1-star Google review, as one would do. Actually, not really. Sometimes I have bad experiences at places, and I don't really feel the need to like leave a bad review. I'm not a person that just wants to like leave negative reviews all over the place. When I do have a positive experience, though, I do tend to leave positive reviews, because I'm a positive.
I was just about to ask that, actually.
But my thought was like, look, in theory, I love the idea of this model, because it's cheap, it's convenient. When I want to go in, it's because something has just happened that is agitating me, and I just want to go in, you know, as soon as possible. And when on my schedule, like, I don't want to have to like make an appointment. You know, doctor's appointments are so annoying. You know, you have to like schedule it, and it's like weeks out, and it's like, I just want to go in and get treated. And that's what this is. And it's cheap. For the most part, like, I know I'm talking poorly about him, but it's like, and Jackson thinks these people aren't real doctors and stuff, but
I think Jackson thinks these people aren't real people.
You know,
I think that's what's happening.
like I said, every time I've gone in, my problem has been solved.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't feel like I've been put at risk or anything. So, you know, and
to be fair, this time you got a free adjustment. So
yeah. So my thought is like, look, this is a good idea, but and to be fair, I'm not the only person that's had this experience. I've talked to other people that have gone here and have been, you know, try to have the bundles and the membership shoved down their throat. So it's not just me, but it's like, I want this to be a real thing, like a service that I can use. And it's like, whatever business model you've set up where you're encouraging the practitioners to sell these memberships and bundles so hard is like, it's like hurting your business, you know? It's like, and I actually put some examples of how they could fix it in the review. I said, one, just at the very least, have the secretary. Every office has a secretary, and then you go back, and that's where they have the tables and stuff where they do the adjustments. Just have the secretary do the sales pitch at the end of the session. Like, why is the person working on my body that's supposed to be focused on like keeping me safe and getting me healthy, giving me a sales pitch while they're doing it?
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, it's, you know, they already have a bad stigma, as Jackson has mentioned, and it's kind of discrediting to their profession when they're just, like, imagine you're in there in the doctor's office getting treated, and they're trying to like sell you some deal, you know, or some gimmick. It's like, it just doesn't seem professional. It seems slimy. And then I was like, I kind of feel like becoming a licensed chiropractor and being a salesperson do not go hand in hand, obviously, because all these people are just like bad at it. Or they're just really, really training them, and like whoever's above them is really training them and coercing them to act a certain way. Because I was like, look, all you need to do not that I'm like an expert salesperson or anything, but just like, hey man, I see you, have just been coming in and paying for the single sessions. Just want to let you know that we have this bundle option where you'd save, buy some up front, but you save 15 per session if that's interesting to you.
You're saying this should be a little more personable with the customer.
Yeah, just don't be like a pushy salesperson. Like, it's not that hard.
I completely agree. I also assume that they probably make part of their living off of commissions, so maybe it's like important to them or whatever.
So do I, but I don't go around forcing people to do stuff that they don't want to do.
I agree. I'm with you. And I totally agree with your idea of like, check this person's quote unquote chart. If they've come in 6 times and paid for single sessions 6 times, then yeah.
Right. So, okay, I wrote this review and then I said, look, I don't, like I said, I'm not a person that just willy-nilly throws around bad reviews every time I get upset about something. I said, before I post this to Google, and that's permanently there for this location, it's a new location too. And to be fair, I know this is a franchise model, so I don't know if like this guy like owns it and he's like really stressed out because it's not going well.
Right.
And he's like, I don't know what the situation is. So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. So I email it to him first. I said, I'm going to email it to him. I said, hey, I just had a bad experience at this location. I wrote this 1-star Google review, but I wanted you guys to have a chance to review it and, possibly reconcile the situation with me somehow before I post it. And this was over the weekend. So it's been well into the work week and I have not gotten a response from them. So my question to you guys is, do you go ahead and do you post the review? Have I given them enough chance to correct the situation?
I mean, go ahead.
I feel like chiropractors, when are they ever checking their email, They got other things to do. They got to focus on their craft, their technique,
Well, so if you go, like I said, it's a big franchise, but every location has its own website and has its own email address. And so each location, it's not just like one chiropractor there. Like they have many that they like rotate through. So it's not like, I assume
did you put the name of the guy in your review? Your specific guy?
No, but I'm sure they can figure it out. I don't, to be honest, I don't remember the guy's name. So also I didn't necessarily want, like, my point is like, this wasn't like, obviously this one guy handled it the most unprofessionally out of any of it, but it's like, this is really a problem with the business model.
Yeah.
And that's the point I was trying to make. And I was like, in the review, I like was apologetic that this location was taking the brunt of the bad review because it really was a buildup that they were the straw that broke the camel's back, but it's really like a systemic problem with this business model and this company. But
I think you post it. Okay. F this business. But no,
it's called The Joint, by the way. The Joint Chiropractic is what it's called.
I was thinking this the whole time, but I honestly was like, I hope he doesn't say it so we don't give them any sort of shout out or
I want shout out. I literally want the management to contact me and be like, hey, we're going to change. We're going to fix it. We're going to address this.
All right. The management of the Maryville, Alcoa, Tennessee, The Joint.
No,
if you want to do an interview on 9 Degrees Podcast, reach out to us.
The Joint
CEO.
Worldwide, global.
You want the Joint
this
CEO.
Is coming from. It's not, because I said, I've been to 3 different locations all across the Southeast. It's not just one location. It's all of, like, however they're training the practitioners is the problem.
Come on our podcast. We want to know why you do it like this. We have some things to talk about.
I would have this conversation with him.
Agreed.
So that was my first question to you guys. Would you post the review at this point? Post the Google review?
Yeah, I think you gave them adequate time.
Okay. Also, I've talked about them on this now, so it's, even if I chose not to post it, I've still publicly.
Right. This is coming out for sure.
Yeah. Second question is, when he's trying to convince me to buy this bundle package because I'm going to save money, and then is like essentially like he's almost getting to the point that I'm like stupid because I like wouldn't want to save money on these things. Do you guys do you guys understand why like the buy in bulk mentality is not necessarily in your best financial interest, even if the per unit thing that you're buying is cheaper?
Yeah, of course, because I might not have $300 on me right now. Like if I live paycheck to paycheck, like maybe I don't have $300 right now, but I can go like, once a year.
Or you wouldn't consume that much in chiropractor sessions.
Well, yeah, but Maddox said they never expire. So hypothetically, you could like use it 10 years from now.
That's just a marketing thing.
I agree. I fully agree.
But even if they did, even if in theory, and even if you went to Costco and you were buying a non-perishable that didn't expire, I mean, this is the way I think about it. My investment finance brain is that company wants more of my money up front so they can invest it into things sooner that are going to make them more profitable. Sure. I want to keep my money in my pocket so I can keep it in my businesses and investment accounts so I can compound it more quickly. So even if, I mean, I think that on a small scale, like it doesn't matter. But if you take like 100 decisions like that,
right?
Like I think it adds up.
I'm getting to the same end result as you, but I think about it a little bit differently. I think about it as like, what is my personal monthly cash flow?
Yeah.
Because I think you're right. Like a single decision on a small scale, like it's not going to matter. Like you paying $30 for a bulk session versus you paying $45 for one session. If you went like once a week, then like, no, I think obviously like the bulk makes more sense. In your scenario where you're going once a year, I guess the question is like, can you turn $45 or sorry, can you turn $30 into $45 in the course of a year? I don't know. That's like a 30% or 40% gain on that. Like
the way I think about it is like if the frequency at which I consume the product or service is more, if I consume it so frequently that it's inconveniencing me to have to purchase it
every single time,
then that's when I will decide to buy it in bulk or buy like at a higher scale. Let's talk like toilet paper or something,
right?
You can go in and you can buy like the 4-pack or whatever. Or I don't know. Do they have smaller? Do they have a 2-pack? I don't know.
Maybe.
You
can go to Costco and you can get the 24-pack or whatever.
I mean, I don't even do that. I'm just like, I'll get the 12-pack over the 4-pack because I don't want to have to come in here each week and buy.
Right.
I don't know. Is going through 4 rolls of toilet paper absurd? I don't even know. But do you get my point? It's like, Or so, for instance, like car detailing product for my Turo business. I could buy just like the little bottle that is $10, and I might have to do that every 2 weeks or something. Right. So I'll buy the 5-gallon one, and I'll save per unit, but I'll pay $40 instead of $50 or you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to have to buy it every week,
Right. I think you're right. I think the frequency matters, and for you, the chiropractic stuff, like you go, sounds like once, maybe most twice a year. Like, you go so infrequently that it doesn't matter.
All right. Well, that's my session. I felt like a long one, and that was one topic. So
hey, we didn't try to.
I do have another topic, but
listen, your choice. We can get into it now, or we can save it for next time.
No, we can get into it. Do we want to?
Go for it.
Do you guys have any thoughts on my chiropractor buy in bulk?
Guys, don't go to the chiropractor. It's just bed rest, and drinking water will help you.
I agree.
Okay, why is that not pseudoscience?
Because sleep and drinking water is good for you.
But it's not going to fix the crick in your neck.
No, that's actually what I was thinking. Is like, I mean, you say the crick in your neck gets fixed, but like, how do you know it wouldn't have been fixed the next day?
Oh my God. Okay. I'll give my final thoughts on this. I think don't buy your chiropractor or doctor sessions in bulk up front. Don't do it. Because...
And if a guy says to you while you're like naked on a massage table, have you thought about saving money on this session?
This massage?
You should just leave right then.
Yeah, I agree. Don't buy
Good
your
advice.
things in bulk. Because what happens if they go out of business? Anyway, yeah,
That's a fair
that's
argument.
my thought. That's my
Okay.
thought.
So Bridgewater, the largest hedge fund in the world,
Okay.
is launching an ETF.
Ooh.
So now the everyday investor can invest in the flagship strategy of the world's largest hedge fund.
Interesting. And are they, I assume yes, are they consistently beating the market? Like over the last 30 years, 20 years, whatever?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And the idea here would be that this ETF would consistently beat the market. If, hypothetically, you could extrapolate that would be like a one-to-one correlation. But obviously it's probably not. But
well, here's the thing. That's not really I feel like that's not really the right way to think about it. The way to think about it is, I mean, one, you look like you can, the fund that they're launching, it's not just like the Bridgewater fund. Like this is just everything that we do in an ETF. It is their all-weather strategy, which has been a strategy that they developed many, many years ago and have been running. It's supposed to be like a timeless investment strategy that just achieves a high competitive rate of return in line with the stock market or higher than the stock market with much, much less risk and with a lot more consistency. So you're avoiding basically major prolonged periods of drawdowns that any single asset class is exposed to. So anyway, that's the strategy, whether or not it outperforms the market over some period of time. I don't really think about it that way. I'm like, is this a good strategy that should outperform the market over time? Great. Is it at a good cost? Great. And
as the biggest hedge fund in the world, you would presumably some of the most brilliant finance minds in the world.
Yeah, and so there actually has already been ETFs launched that are based on this strategy. And they were launched by a company that one of the founders had worked at Bridgewater, and one of the other co-founder was he had a close working relationship with Bridgewater. So allegedly they had sufficient knowledge of the strategy. I think though that Bridgewater doing this is like, okay, this is going to be the de facto standard of like, okay, the details are I mean, they invented it. This is like their bread and butter. So it's like, this is going to be the best version of that strategy in an ETF form now.
Do we know when it comes out?
No, I just saw the press release just within the past few days. So usually that means it's around the corner because that means they've filed something that let people know that it's coming out. But they're partnering with State Street Spider, so that's like big brand name ETF.
When you say around the corner, are we talking like before Christmas or like first of the year?
I honestly have no idea. Why are you trying to buy it?
I was just curious. Yeah,
I mean, the thing is like,
of course. I buy everything you talk about on this podcast. Every single
thing
thing.
is like, it's not a very attractive investment. Like if you're trying to, if you're talking crypto or high flying stocks or whatever, it's like, it's a very boring product, but it's a very efficient product. If you're just trying to like find, like, to me, this should be how people think of like S&P 500. Just put it in S&P 500, whatever. This should be that, because this is diversified and this is, consistent, like not still prone to drawdowns, but when you look at the back test, the history through 100 years, it's like you're the holy grail investment strategy is just like a money printer, right? You put money in and every day it just prints money, and at a competitive rate of return, so higher than inflation. Ideally competitive with whatever the hot flavor of asset class is, stocks. It's been for the past 40 years. But this is close to that. It's not perfect, but just like steady, reliable, great competitive returns, less risk, so you're not like worried about it crashing, whatever. Great investment product, and it's coming to all investors and in a cheap wrapper. So, that's exciting to me. Probably not to anyone else, but
no, that's exciting. I'll buy it. If I'm always looking for a diversification, like this podcast. 2 white guys and an Indian. Anyway,
typically he's even less diversified.
Thanks for that. Appreciate it. Let's move right on into our final period for the day. Jackson, what do you have for us this week?
All right. So this week I wanted to talk about, this might be what the joint is investing in with selling these bundle packages. Crypto.
Jackson wants to talk about crypto?
Yeah. What?
I'm known for talking about crypto. I'm known for being the crypto guy on this podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Jackson's the crypto bro.
No, but this is something that's caught my attention in the last couple of weeks since the election, is that not only immediately after, like the day after the election, but in the subsequent days since then, crypto has shot up. It's shot right up. So on election day, crypto was at about $68,000 per unit.
Actually, Jackson, we were on a call together during that, and if you remember, I sold all of my Bitcoin during the call.
Oh yeah,
I sold it at $74,000 exactly. I sold all of my Bitcoin.
Okay, nice. And I'm happy to report, except to Jerome, who sold his Bitcoin, that Bitcoin is now at $94,000 plus per unit.
It is.
An approximately 33% increase in the past 15 days. And it doesn't really look like it's showing signs. It's not really showing signs of slowing down, really, because it's sort of steadily been increasing. And I don't know. I just thought this was interesting because I might have expected it to go up, but I wouldn't expect it to go up by like 30 something percent. Obviously, Jerome didn't expect that either, or he wouldn't have sold. But I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think of this? Do you think it's a reasonable reaction to the election? Do you think it's something besides the election that's causing this? I don't know what to make of it.
I'll give my personal opinion first. Yes, I think it is almost entirely to do with the election stuff because it's not all crypto. Well, the general crypto market, yes. But when you look at the biggest crypto coins like Bitcoin versus Ethereum versus like Solana or whatever, Ethereum and Solana have not had the same amount of gain, at least as far as I can tell, as Bitcoin has. And my thought is, if there was something fundamentally about, like, I don't know, this specific token or whatever, then, well, actually, now I've convinced myself out of my entire argument. Here's what I was going to say. I was going to say, if the entire market's going up together, then maybe it's like a expected regulation type thing or deregulation for the matter of that. But I guess it is really just Bitcoin. I don't know why. I still think it's election related. I mean, Trump already said that when he takes office, he's going to, resign Gary Gensler, the SEC chair, and then put some other lady as the SEC chair, and she's known to be like pro-crypto. So maybe it's like expectations based off of that. The one thing that I think is crazy is back in like March of this year, like when Bitcoin was not doing that great, people were saying Bitcoin could go to 100,000 in 2024. And I was like, no way, absolutely no way. But here we are. We're literally like $5,000 away from 100,000. And honestly, I think it could hit it before the end of the year. So, Maddox,
I think it could hit it before we end recording this podcast, honestly.
Honestly, it probably could. Well, a few thoughts here. Jerome, to your point that it's just Bitcoin and it's not the rest of the market. I mean, the rest of the market has moved up. Right. Bitcoin probably, well, I don't know. Depends on what you're looking at. I mean, a lot of the meme coins have gone up 100 or more %. So that's more
Fair.
than Bitcoin. But relative to their volatility, maybe Bitcoin has still had a more substantial gain. Well, I just want to point out that that's typical. Usually Bitcoin is the first mover in either direction. Well, yeah, Bitcoin's typically the first mover, and then the altcoins follow Bitcoin's direction is typically how the cycles work.
And that makes sense. But like, you know, for the last 7 days, like Bitcoin's up, I don't know, let me look it up real fast, like 6%. Whereas in the same time frame, like Ethereum's down 3%. You know, maybe that's a problem with Ethereum specifically. Maybe there's something going on behind the scenes there that I don't know about. But
could be.
And that's the problem when you're only looking. You're only looking at a couple coins. It's like, okay, maybe Bitcoin's the anomaly, and actually the whole market is going up by something like 10 to 15%.
Bitcoin has outperformed the entire crypto market by a magnitude of 2x since the election.
Oh, really?
So at the whole market, market as a whole has gone up by like what, 15% or so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But like I said, that's typical. Maybe you should be buying altcoins right now. I am buying altcoins right now. But I could be wrong. I'm wrong often. So I think it is majorly election related, but I think there are some other things that are happening. So Trump gets elected, and basically, what do you have happen? You have before Trump got elected, it was basically a 50-50 outcome. People, I don't think anyone really knew what the outcome was going to be. Markets didn't really know, so it was basically priced in as a 50-50 outcome. So that uncertainty goes away, and now you have what are very pro-growth expectations getting priced into markets, because that's what's associated with Trump. Whether it's going to be true or not, that's what the expectations are.
Right.
The expectation is Trump's going to enter office, and there's going to be a ton of expansionary fiscal policy, and markets are getting ahead of that. And then there's the crypto regulation specific part of it. Trump was the more pro-positive toward, leaning candidate toward the regulation of the crypto industry. So there's expectations of that getting priced into the market. And then those are the two main election factors. And then there is, at the same time as this is happening, you're having the Fed cutting rates into what they're calling a strong economy. So you have a strong economy already, and the Fed is cutting rates. That's accommodative monetary policy. So you have strong expectations of fiscal policy from the election, strong expectations of monetary policy from how the Fed is positioning themselves right now, which are like fiscal policy and monetary policy. Those are like the two forces of markets, right? That's what's mostly pushing asset prices around, or the expectations of it. Even if it's not actually the policy itself, it's people's expectations of how it's going to play out in the future. And those are all the expectations are essentially as high as they could be. Whether or not they should be or not, I personally think it's a lot of over expectations, optimistic expectations. I think that as the realities of these things play out, the expectations people's expectations are going to be disappointed. That's just my view. Could be wrong. And then, in terms of the magnitude, Jackson, you were saying the 33% seemed like a lot. And it is a lot, but I think that, so at the 74,000 mark, that was the all-time high for Bitcoin for a period of around a year, plus or minus some months, or maybe two years. I don't even know. Anyway, that had been the line in the sand, right? And so when you have a major event that then pushes an asset through the previous all-time high, I mean, it's pretty typical that the move is much, much larger than, the typical trading range for that asset over the past however long. If you look at gold, like gold broke through all-time highs earlier this year. It had in a longer time frame, but gold is not as volatile of an asset as Bitcoin is. But it also, since its breakthrough of the all-time highs, has had probably a gain in the 30% range. So yeah, I don't know. My point is just that these breaks through all-time highs, when there's a major shift in expectations of that asset, like typically result in like larger than historically, like, the larger than normal trading range type moves. But yeah, I don't know. Those are my thoughts mostly about it.
Makes sense.
All right. I have also one more question. Correct me if I'm wrong, Max, but I think you've made a lot of money in the past from shorting meme coins.
Yes, I have.
So you mentioned that a lot of meme coins went up by like over 100%. Do you think there's the possibility for a short upcoming?
Another shortening?
Short play?
Yes, I do. I'm not trying to fight these expectations right now because I think it's a dangerous game. So I was mostly shorting crypto anytime it got close to that. Bitcoin got close to that 74,000 because it was, near all-time highs for a while. And my expectations was, it was, given the realities of the economy, I thought that was too high, and that expectations were already really optimistic. But it became evident to me after the election and the way that asset prices just kept going higher, that my expectations were the wrong expectations, and clearly that the general market participants' expectations can go much, much in a direction much, much more disconnected from reality than mine will go. So for the time being, I've accepted that as the reality, is that people's, the way people feel about Trump getting elected, the way that the Fed is just kind of talking about inflation like it's doesn't exist, even though it's like, what did we talk about last episode? 75% of voters said it's affecting their lives moderately or severely. Mm-hmm. It's obviously still there. It's still hurting people, even if the Fed doesn't want to acknowledge it right now. Basically, to me, and the timing is the hard part. But we've just kicked a can down the road, essentially, and we're going to have to deal with these demons eventually, and there will be a time to short assets again, but I don't think now is the time. I think it's, we're kind of setting up for a steamroller potential situation. Maybe we're not. Maybe people will start to come to grips with reality sooner. But I mean, for instance, to give you a more specific, at the very least, I'm waiting for the next Fed meeting, which is in December, to like see how the Fed talks about these things. But up until then, it's like there's not really any major catalyst that should change people's expectations about in the way that they just kind of set up after the election. So yeah, for the most part, I'm cautiously long these risky assets, and I'm pretty heavily short bonds.
I don't know. I think I'm with you, Maddox. I think, well, no. Let me put it this way. It doesn't matter what I think, because these cryptos, I don't understand them, and they're going to do whatever they want to do. And clearly I don't understand. But maybe I can invest in Graybridge's all-weather ETF, and I'll be fine.
I'll also note, I don't know if people know this because I do make trades in the market, but like for the most part, I just have a buy and hold portfolio that's just long assets like crypto and stocks and bonds and all of these things. So like, that's always there, but also, you can try to make money by expressing your views in different ways.
Yeah, it's like I have a bank account, but I'll still go to the casino every once in a while.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of a fair analogy, I would say.
Well, Jackson, anything else on crypto prices or anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that explanation answered a lot of the curiosities I had about the behavior of Bitcoin and other crypto since the election.
All right. Well, with that, we've gotten a little bit long, so let's call it a day. Thank you guys for watching this episode. As always, if you want to interact with us, come and join the Discord. I'm posing hella questions in there these days, and they're fun. So come interact. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Watch the video version of this podcast. We also have Instagram, TikTok, all things social at 9 Degrees Pod. So make sure to check those out. Thank you guys for watching this episode. Class is now dismissed.